Thank you for tuning in or tuning back in. This is my podcast. I don't know if that's obvious or not. I'm Daniel. The podcast is called What Now? I don't know why it's called that. Today I'm going to talk to Jay Hawk, also known as Joel Marsden. He's a writer. We're going to talk about the creative process. We're going to talk about whether the moon is real or if it's just a space station for aliens to spy on us. A lot of excellent stuff like that and some good laughs. If you're enjoying the podcast, you can help us out by hitting us with a donation at leavingstressbehind.com. Just hit the donate button. Or if you're like one of those Amazon people, you can go to amazon.com/shop/Black Market Yoga Daniel. And anything you buy through that link will give a kickback to the show so that we can do what it is we do. Please subscribe and share. It's super helpful. And more than anything, thank you so much for tuning in. I think you're going to really enjoy this conversation. Hello. Hey, thank you for listening. Hey, why don't you just tell us who you are?
Wonderful. My name is Jayhawk, and I am a writer and a musician, a past musician, that is, and now I'm delving into the world of writing, and it's wonderful to be here.
Thank you. And when in the past you used to be known as
a lot of different names, but Joel Marsden is the birth name of my birth mother.
Oh shit! I just banged my head on the mic. Yeah, right. And actually, you're a California native.
California native, correct. 50%, more or less. The other half comes from England. Some mixed blood, I guess, as they say.
Oh,
or a half-breed, as I was called quite often when in my youth.
Yeah. And when we were on the road.
Oh, yeah.
I remember that. That's fucking hilarious. But your bloodline has been in Los Angeles for how long?
I think thousands of years. It comes from a tribe called Tongva Gabrieleno, and there's a lot of offshoots from that. So I've kind of chosen just to be me rather than claiming an identity of American Indian or English or British or whatever. We're all human. We're all the same. We all have blood and bones. Well, at least most of us have spines, but it's one world and it's one person. So yeah, it's fun to delve inside the ethnic, petri dish of my life. But yeah, we are on a rock in the middle of nowhere. I just want to remind everybody that.
Right. Flying through the sky.
Yeah, but flying through the sky. And that it's just so odd to me that we continue to drill through the only rock of existence that we have. It's like, why do we keep drilling at it and punching it and poisoning it? And it is what it is.
Well, it's funny because I've recently kind of taken like a lot of interest in the origins of Earth, which is kind of the origins of, I don't know if it's the origins of man. I have this weird theory that I think it's someone else's theory that, so when meteors showered on Earth, they brought the elements that were able to create an Earth that we could live on, and they probably brought the human element in these meteors that showered from the universe.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah.
My theory is that those meteors, if you look at it on a long enough timeline, are spaceships.
In a way, yes,
Right.
I can see that.
And I've been doing all this study, and so I found out, one, there's been 5 ice ages.
Really?
They didn't fucking tell me that in school. There was there was one.
Yeah, one big one.
But 5 ice ages on the planet. So that means there's probably going to be 6.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, people are always miscounting. I do that all the time as well.
Yeah. Not in my lifetime.
Well, I've been on the dark side of YouTube, and I've seen, and I walked into my friend's apartment the other day, and I'm like, I learned the moon was fake today.
The moon or the moon landing?
The moon, well, both of them are fake, but
there's no moon.
Well, there is a moon, but it's a shell, and it's an orb, and then I guess one of the narrators on one of the YouTube channels I was watching, well, I'm of course having my wine, my wine deluge, was saying that it was hollowed out and it's an observation deck for aliens. But, I love that.
That's awesome.
I love all that because take it for what it's worth. It's like, this is a whole new mythology. People can get all bent out of shape. The moon is real and the moon's made of cheese and this and that. But, it's fun. I love stories.
Cheese.
I love, when I was a kid, I was taken out of school to go to American Indian school to see elders, and then they would tell us these stories, and we'd sit around the fire with hot dogs. This was Los Angeles. Yes, it is Los Angeles. And yes, there are American Indians, and yes, there are...
they're eating hot dogs.
And we were eating Yes, we were. I remember the hot dogs. I don't know why, because the bun was not a normal bun. It was like this kind of weird cradle-shaped bun that my mom insisted on me having for years and years afterwards. So I have this scarred memory of these buns, of the hot dogs. So anyways, we would be listening to the elders talk about their stories and whatnot. And I think that's the inspiration for me that kind of opened the door to say everybody does have a story, and there's different ways of expressing yourself. You can do it with music. You can do it with writing. You can do it with so many different painting, everything, And the problem with me in delving into my writing career is that I'm pretty much dyslexic, I believe. I don't think I can read as much as most people, or fast as most people, but I do love to enjoy the words. And what I realized is that I was trying to read too fast. I wasn't drinking the words and drinking the emotion of the book. And I realized this is why I go so slow in reading, because I enjoy words. Words are jewels. And if you can describe a beautiful scene in one word, it's like, give it to me. Let me slam that. Because I really, really love the description. And Neil Gaiman does a wonderful job at describing and what I call word jewels.
Who's that?
Word jewels.
Who's Neil?
Neil Gaiman. He's an author and a director, and actually, he's not a director, but he's an author.
Would I know the book?
Sandman Comics.
Okay. So it's
Coraline.
graphic novels.
He did. I think he started with graphic novels first. Correct me, everybody, if I'm wrong. But he's also moved on to movies. He's written Coraline. What was the other ones? Stardust. And they made movies out of these things.
So I've known you a long time.
Yes.
And you've been, on some level, telling stories the whole time, but in different formats. No?
Yes. Like Inquisition.
Yes.
That is correct.
There is a light on you. Is this true?
My life is full of lies and truths, and the truths that I've spoken are all of in which I sang and I've written. The lies I speak are mostly everything else.
Do you think the truth is does it shift? Does it change? Is the truth of yesterday a lie tomorrow?
For me, that is correct. I think it changes. It changes by how I'm feeling. Not to put it really deep in there, but I am a victim of abuse, and a lot of ways to escape the terror of that is to create a new world and create a new persona, create a new life, to pull yourself away from what people, from the comfort of the world into an imaginary world. And I think that explains a lot of who I am and what I try to achieve with writing and escapism. So
it's funny because I thought about that, and I think it's one of the questions on my list, but which I'm not using. Do you think art, writing, creativity is a form of personal therapy? And is personal therapy for the world? And when I say the world, I mean humanity, because it's not the same thing, but.
I think this answer would be particularly for me. It is, and it doesn't apply to the world. I can only answer for myself. The therapy that art has given me is more than I ever got from any psychologist or any hospital or anything. It has given me the echo of my own voice back in my own ear and an explanation of an emotion that was defined and resolved, but not fully resolved. Because we never get over our past. little creature will always be there. That demon will always be snuggled somewhere in the organ, somewhere in the head, somewhere, whatever, and it will be there. The fact is, I need to be aware of that demon, and I need to pet it every so often. Right. You're okay.
Right.
You're there. You won't go away. Because in the denial of that is when true pain comes.
Absolutely. Pain for you and pain for the people around you. Because, yeah, it's about there's a balance. People tell this story about, I think it's actually an American Indian story, about inside of you, there are these two wolves, right? Mm-hmm. There's the dark wolf and the light wolf. And they're like, well, what wolf, is the most powerful? And they're like, the one you feed. But if you don't feed the dark wolf, if you don't walk the dark wolf around the block a couple times every day, that dark wolf is going to fucking get mean, man. And he's going to find a way out.
Oh, yeah. 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 And that's a really cool analogy. I think that represents it very well. Definitely. I wish more people would use the answer of art to escape that pain rather than walking around town with a flag and balloons and clown face makeup and saying, I'm a victim.
Right.
I don't care if you're a victim because I'm a victim and I got over it. And the last thing that I want people to know is that I have an illness or I have, these things that happened in the past that I don't want to deal with, so.
Yeah, why advertise that?
Yeah, why advertise that? Be strong and stand up, chin up, walk forward. Through the glass window if you need to.
Whatever, open the door.
Fuck the door.
Yeah, build a door. Construct a door.
Right. My friend, I don't know why I'm jumping the subject, but
please, I was about to do the same fucking thing.
A friend of mine was telling me, you got everything. I don't. I got everything. It's funny how that perception is.
He said you have everything.
Yeah, I got everything. I go, what do I go? But it's funny because I don't think I have anything because basically I have nothing. And they go, well, you go home every day and you work on your project and you do your thing and I got nothing. Well, answer to that, get busy.
Right.
Because success is not going to happen if you go home and mope around and I'm the victim or I'm like, I got bills to pay and this and that. Flat out, you want to know my opinion is that time is priceless. Remember that. Time is priceless. 3 words to remember. If you lose time, that's your problem because you're never going to get it back. Money you can replace, all these other things you can replace, but time is irreplaceable.
Absolutely.
So I told my friend that you need to go home and work on your project, work on it every day. When you get home, before you take your clothes off, before you do whatever, before you have sex or do whatever, go to your desk and start your little thing for about an hour. Then after that, you go to, you can have something to eat or something like that. But make sure you stay on it. And my last thing in regards to that is that if you don't feel you're getting anywhere, you're not suffering enough. So you're being lazy.
Lazy. As long as I've known you, you've had a project.
Yeah.
Which is, I can't. I've had brief periods where I don't have projects, and I'm very upset about it. I don't like not having a project. This is my new project. This is where and I appreciate
I'm
you.
in this project.
You're a part of the project.
I'm in this box.
But like, what do you do if you don't have a project? But so, anyways, you've always had a project, and I've always respected that. You have a very good work ethic. And a lot of people don't. I've never heard you complain about that kind of thing. And you crossed over. So tell me, what is do you work every day on your project?
Every day.
Every day. How do you have what's your routine?
A routine would be, let's start when I get home. I get home and the rule of thumb is, and I don't follow it very often, but the rule of thumb is I walk in the door, I'm not technically supposed to take my clothes off or get changed or get comfortable. I'm technically supposed to go straight to the computer, which I do. I might need to change to get comfortable. But no going to the refrigerator, no going to get food. You need to stay on point and get on the project for 1 hour at least. After that, you can take a little break and start relaxing. Because as a performer or a past performer, somebody asked me this question: what's the best way you can suggest to perform or give the best performance? The best way is to be hungry, to be tired, to be uncomfortable. You never want to perform on a full stomach. I thought that was so funny. At one place, they were serving like a steak dinner with potatoes and this and that, and then they wanted me to go perform. I would rather go to the bathroom. So you need to always be on edge, basically what I'm saying. So back to my repetition or my schedule. In the door, get to the desk, 1 hour at that, maybe an hour and a half.
You set a timer?
No.
Okay.
Because most likely what's going to happen is I'll be there for 3 hours sitting at the desk.
But it's your time because you've done your job.
My day job, yeah.
Right. That affords you to be able to come home and do what you do and have a house and a door. And then you everything's done and you come home and now it's your time.
This is my time.
Right.
But this time, and this is important, by the way, everybody, is revenge. This is revenge on the world around me, that everybody that slammed the door in my face and was mean to me and pushed me aside and I don't have a car, even knocked me over my bike. This is the time where I get revenge. This is the time where I open my soul up and I pour everything out into the computer, and that is magic. It's complete magic.
Yes.
It's retaliation in word form.
Good. In word form. What are words?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
It's not a loaded question. I swear it's not a loaded question. Words written, words spoken. And this is why we're not having chips and salsa.
I know. Did it really crunch? I'm sorry. I'm an ice cruncher. Words are notes of the universe, and
musical notes,
each one, and they resonate. They can be cheap or they can be powerful. Depends on what you want to use. A lot of times when I'm reading, I go, why do I hate this book so much? It's a book. It has to be good. It's a book. And then I realize this book sucks. And then I'm like, well, how did this book get published? I mean, if the person had just money and then I realize, well, some books are good and some books are bad. Some words are good and some words are bad. Some art is good, some art is bad. Some music, or a lot of music, is very bad.
Right.
So when you can realize what good and bad is, or that's probably the wrong words to say, words that are more powerful and weak. Powerful music, weak. Then you start to really realize where to look for the truth.
What'd you say?
Where to look for the truth.
Where to look.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I have a speech impediment. I don't know where it comes from. I think it's from the past. I guess I recently did the DNA test, and I'm like one of the sons of Neil of the 9 hostages. Neil and the 9 hostages from Ireland. I have no idea. Apparently, this king decided to spread his wealth, sperm, and just had a lot of fun with a lot of girls, and I'm one of those offspring, I guess.
You're Irish.
I didn't know that. I had no idea.
Holy Jesus.
I mean, my dad's from Wales, or family are from Wales or England, as far as I know. But I didn't know I was Irish. Apparently, I'm quite a lot. So, yeah.
Okay. You sent your DNA to a corporation.
I spit.
You sent your spit to a corporation. Now, that's very punk rock.
It is. It is.
You sent your spit to a
I would have done something else, I think. That would have been really funny. Oh, I was supposed to spit. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you have any thoughts about that? Like, are they going to create a race of slaves?
Well, if they're creating a race of me, I feel really sorry for them because they just screwed up massively. Yeah, I am worried about that, but who am I? I'm just me. Make a duplicate of me if you want to.
That's a fucking good point. Why am I so like egotistical that I'm concerned about someone having my fucking DA?
Yeah.
But it's not. What is it?
What?
What is my? What did you? Wait a second. What do you send them?
Oh, you sent my spit.
Oh, right.
Is that what you? I sent my spit. They did a little research, and I didn't think too much of it until my uncle came up on my little spreadsheet that they offer.
Oh, they give you like a list of all the people that you're connected to?
Yes.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And you know what? I went as anonymous, completely anonymous. The fact that they knew, or my uncle came up as being like...
Do you know him?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. Well, because his name came up on the spreadsheet, so on the online spreadsheet, and I was like, "Wow, this is crazy. It's so crazy," because it knows who I'm related to.
It's like some weird extension of Facebook.
Yeah, it is. I don't want to go to the dark side of that too quick,
please.
But on the light side, it again reaffirms that first thing I was talking about, is that we're all the same. We are all human. And when we start to divide the line between this and that, it just blows. What's it going to take for us to all come together and go, hey, let's just have a good time. Let's all help each other out and do this. But people are so greedy, incredibly greedy. I'll tell you this verbatim. We get, I worked at this flower store when I was a kid. And we had these people who make billions of dollars, and I won't mention names, but you will know who they are because you see them on TV every day and whatnot, calling me on the phone, telling me, don't you know who I am? And I'm like, I don't know who you are. And they go, well, I'm a 2-time Oscar winner, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I still don't know who you are. I don't know who you are, lady. I don't know who you are. And let's just flashback. Look at the boy that's talking to this actress on the phone. I have a mohawk. I'm wearing mascara. I'm wearing all black, and I have a crucifix all around my neck. I don't care if you're a 2-time Oscar nominee, Miss somebody's mother. I was about ready to say who her name was. Yeah. And if you're not into Judas Priest or Black Sabbath or Christian Death or anything of that nature, and if you don't hang out the bar where I'm at, if you're not serving me drinks, and if you're not like having sex with me, I don't know who you are. Forbid. Isn't that funny how she's completely powerless now? I lost my power.
Power. Power.
You thought you had some, you have none.
Why do people seek power?
So we're, especially being in Los Angeles, we're kind of embedded with all these people who think that they are deserving of some sort of attention, whether it's being money or notoriety. But this is such a dangerous thing. But it can, again, we are all the same.
Absolutely.
Let's just take 1 second to realize we're all the same.
And in this world, I did a video a while back on my YouTube that nobody watches. Absolutely fucking nobody watches. Almost nobody. And I talked about growing up. So I had found out that I grew up on the poor side of town in the split of the community. That I didn't know that. And there was like a lot of like strife amongst the people, right? But I'm like, why would it matter if I was on the poor side of town, if every day we all, like at the end of the week, we like pulled our picnic tables out and fucking threw up the barbecue and, got some beers and like had the band play and we just all hung out and had a nice time and danced together. Who cares, right? But we create this is like tension, like, oh, he has a nicer TV than me. I don't watch, or it's like, it can be, it's like if everyone just goes, hey, let's just make it great. Who cares? It's so easy. I mean,
to me, that concept that you just described would be highly illegal in Los Angeles, especially highly illegal.
Right.
The fact that you're gating off communities because of why, you're keeping people out, people that I deal with on a daily basis have that kind of attribute where they need to be put on a pedestal. They need to flick out their phone or drive your car really fast. But when I was growing up, I had this big thing with death because my mom died of cancer. I saw her die on her deathbed. And it gave me the realization that time is very short, and that goes back into what I was talking before about time. We really need to reel it all in, for sure.
What do you mean? Like there's a Pink Floyd song, I Miss the Starting Gun, and he talks about how at some point he realized that he was in charge of his destiny. Mm-hmm. Is this what you're talking about? Reel it all in, decide what you're going to do. Like, what are you saying?
Basically, what I'm saying is that death is upon us.
Yes, absolutely. All going to die.
It walks with us. And basically, when I was a child walking through the cemetery, you can put that in a Tim Burton movie or whatever. But in all reality, we are with death every day of our lives, whether we realize it or not. And everything we do every day is to keep us from thinking of death.
Right.
Every day.
In our society. Yes.
In our society, mm-hmm. Yeah. We go to the market, we put on lipstick, we get Botox, we get plastic surgery. We're looking at TMZ, the Kardashians, and all these other people. Everybody's trying to keep us from realizing that time is important and death is upon us. And if you're ignorant to that fact, you are going to be one of those people that walk the earth after you die, because that's what ghosts are. People that are in denial of their own death. And it would all benefit us so much more if we really embraced it. You know, it's the next adventure, as I think J.K. Rowling would say. Death is the next big adventure for us. And if we're not happy with ourselves, then crap. I mean, we're going to go off to the universe and just be unhappy for all eternity, you know? Yeah,
it's not like, if there's an afterlife, it's not like, oh, well, I'm going to get a reset and then I'm going to get to the new
reset.
Yeah, I'm get to the next situation.
I'm reincarnated as a king. You know, I was a king in my past life. Well, there must have been a lot of kings, because I mean, everybody's telling me they're kings. Who's the peasant?
Yeah.
You got to have peasants.
Right. And what's wrong with being the peasant?
Absolutely nothing. Because again, you are the same. You are alive.
Yeah, very temporary, very temporary. This is that Iggy Pop did this song with Slash on this one Slash album, and the chorus is something, we're all gonna die, so let's be nice. That's kind of funny.
It's true. It's completely true. And I think it's always been a funny thing for me to see coffins. People see them as scary. I just see them as this whole denial of death. Let's just put it in a pretty box with a nice bow on it, bury it in the ground so you never see it again, and it's toxic to the earth, and just go away.
Coffins freak me out. I'm very claustrophobic. Have you ever seen the coffin of Edgar Allan Poe?
No, but I've been to his house in Philadelphia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but that was kind of a upstaging. Sorry about that.
That's all right. Yeah. Fuck you and your coffin.
Where's his coffin at?
If you go online, if you Google Edgar Allan Poe coffin, he had a designer make a coffin for him. Whether or not he was actually buried in it, I do not know. But it's a coffin, and then there's a tube that goes up 6-7 feet, and there's a string and there's a bell. And the string comes down into the coffin, and if he was to come back alive, he could ring the bell and say, "Hey, man, come and get me."
Yeah, thanks.
And you can find the schematics and the design online.
They could have just laid him out for a few days and said the crows pick on him.
Right, that's what I want.
You want to be picked on.
I don't care if I'm picked on. I really, what I want, and people say that you can have it done now, and I don't know if it's true or not, because I've Googled it and people say, well, that it's just something people are planning, but it's not true. I just want a tree to be planted on me.
Yeah.
Just dig a hole, throw me in the hole, put a tree on top of it, cover it up, and then that's it.
There are services I've seen for that. I mean, seriously, I've seen some.
I don't know if they're legal, and I'm not. I mean, I don't want to look now, but it's like to isolate your corpse elements, like the water and the gas and whatever, that
we are part of the earth. We need to go back to the earth.
Yes, but we have this like fucking waterproof coffin.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what took out the goriness of, like, what you're talking about, the kind of the freakiness of seeing coffins. To me, it's just blasphemy.
Explain the pyramids.
Explain the pyramids? You're from the beginning?
Yes, from the beginning.
Chapter 1.
Yeah.
Big rock, move. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. I wasn't there, but
I'm like,
I mean, as far as being tombs,
why would they want to?
well,
yes.
funny you asked that question, because right after I found out the moon was a silver orb and fake, then I found out the pyramids were not actually pyramids at all in reference to being burial chambers. They're actually some sort of mapping of ley lines and whatnot. So I don't know. I don't know what they are. I do know for the fact, though, besides all that, the Egyptians were burying their dead with gold and whatnot. And that goes back to how we even treat our dead, by putting them in a nice coffin, dressing them really nice, having a nice, pomp and circumstance.
What's your take on that?
Get rid of it all.
Just, my father used to say to me,
Get rid of it. I mean, it doesn't matter. It
Right.
does not matter. Tradition does not matter. Tradition is built by us because we feel we need to be validated in this
Right.
universe. There is no tradition.
Right.
What is happening is that we die, we go into the earth, and then we come back as something else because energy equals mass, that type of stuff. So I'm not a scientist, but I've been on this earth long enough to know that your traditions will die.
my father used to always say, just put me down the garbage disposal.
That's cute.
But he was like, he is still like, he's rebuilt every house we ever lived in, which is funny because my garbage disposal, it couldn't take it. It's a shitty one.
Oh, so
Right.
it just would never go away.
But his thoughts on that were always, since I was very young, were like, and it goes back to your time is now.
Mm-hmm.
You
Exactly.
know, when you're dead, it's like, I don't need I'm dead, and you would put a bunch of fucking flowers. I mean, that's about you. That's not about me. I'm fucking gone. Thanks.
If people think that being buried in the ground is so important and so involving in our community, or important in our community, I guess I don't know a better way to explain that, then take a walk to an old cemetery. You can take a walk to an old cemetery, maybe one from the 1800s. Tell me the people that go there, because they will be rotting, the tombstones will be broken, and nobody goes there anymore.
I was in a cemetery in the Caribbean that was underwater. The waves were crashing on the stones.
Right.
It's like this attachment to permanency.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And that goes with that the thing of tradition. This is our attachment to this.
Our attachment to ourselves.
Yeah.
Attachment to self, which is
tradition.
ego.
We have to go bury the people because it's tradition.
Right.
Where did it start? When did this tradition start, actually? Because
Well, that's why I brought up the pyramids. Right?
Right. Well, I'm sure it went beyond that. So, but they're trying to be validated. Yeah. Mhm.
Right.
Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The dynamic. But one of the things I forgot to mention is that when I was a kid and I was thinking about death a lot, and I used to fantasize about it, and then I used to hate it because it, obviously the whole idea of it, my mom's dead and my friends are dead. And then I realized, well, it kind of is the equalizer, it's kind of like Endgame.
Right. How many Oscars did you win? You're dead.
Oh yeah, you're that 2-time Oscar winner who called the boy at the flower store trying to order flowers in demand. Oh, you're dead.
Yeah, and you didn't know he had a mohawk and a mascara on.
By the way, BTW, you were talking to a satanic-looking boy. Yeah.
The story. So you've been working on a story, and I initially heard about it as a book. It has become other things and will become other things, and you can tell us what those are or not. Where does the element of death come into this story, and does it?
Oh yeah, death is interwoven within the story. I can't get too deep into it.
As much as you're comfortable with, or not, whatever. I can hit the clack, and we can go to the next. We can go back to talking about
Clap on.
the moon being a Death Star.
Oh no! Actually, that's what the first thing I thought when they were saying that. Oh, it's the Death Star! Yay! That's about exciting as Mark Hamill doing the voice of Chucky. I just heard too.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, it's great. This will be the next Star Wars. Thank God. Death, does it present itself in my story? Yes, it does. My story is, okay, to backtrack a little bit, and I'll be real brief.
We got all the time in the world. No, we don't.
America, or in general, the North America is it's a beautiful place because it's such a mix of cultures and whatnot. And it's just not American Indian. It's not just African American. It's not white and all these other people. But it's all of us, and we all have stories to tell. And within all this whole big stew of ethnic cultures and whatnot, we have a mythology boiling there that's just untouched. And I'm thinking, I got to touch that. I got to eat that mythology. So I traveled around the United States and with a band that you may know. And I started logging places and things and started putting things together. And in the end, 10 years later, I started writing this mythology. I call it the American mythology. It looks science fiction as you read it, but in essence, it's basically the story of my travels put through characters and whatnot. And it involves death. Yes, it does. Because death is I don't know, it's that friendly ghost that always seems to be there with all the characters at all the time. Everybody else comes and goes away, but death is kind of more of this kind of reigning, permanent fixture in the story. And if you can attach yourself to this fixture, that's kind of carrying you through the whole thing. Other people come and go and they die, whatever, but death is there, and death isn't so bad, he's doing his job. He's doing what he needs to do. So yes, it is involved in the story. And I hate to be cryptic when I was describing all that, but
right. That's what it is. Do you want to say the name of the band?
No.
Okay.
So it's a country band.
Yeah. Joel Marsden and the Back City. And
the Hay Bashers. Yeah. That sounded bad. Sorry, everybody.
Started, okay. So I don't know if you told me that you started this 7 years ago.
I started this 7 years ago when I was sort of at a place where I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
I've been doing music for 20 years. I've recorded 100 songs. I've been on 3 different record labels, one part of Iggy Pop. I think Iggy Pop was actually part of one of these other labels, and the Black Keys as well. But I saw where these bands were going, and then I realized, it was kind of a strange epiphany. I realized somewhere in the middle of Prague or wherever, that I don't want this anymore. I don't want this because I have something else to say, and this is not how I want to say it. And drugs are there, and alcohol is there, sex is there, everything's there, but that's not what my message is. If I want to be a drug addict, a sex addict, and everything else, I can just go do it. But I'm not going to present that to the public. That's not my job. My job is to give my soul to the world, and it doesn't involve those things.
Right.
So, and it was a turnoff. It was like a click, and it was like the lights just turned on, and I'm like, where am I? Oh God. Oh no, I'm not supposed to be here.
Well, that's funny because I was there, and I felt a similar thing, and I didn't know that you felt that, and I experienced it at the same time, and it was very physical. I remember sitting in a dressing room of some club with you in Europe somewhere, and I know this sounds like this is going to sound like it's going to be supposed to be a big laugh or something, but it's not a big laugh. But I was looking at the walls, and every club dressing room, the walls are like covered with like band stickers, and I remember either you or someone had stuck our band sticker on the wall, and I just thought, I don't know any of these bands. Why are we putting ourselves up there with them? But not only that, like a million pictures of dicks.
I remember.
And I'm just like, what world did I come into here? Why did I want to come here?
I never understood that. Like wherever we went, there was always a picture of like a phallic picture of like, and I'm like thinking, who's drawing these things? I mean, it's not like it's not together with maybe a vagina. It's just that,
Yes, right.
It's like, what are you trying to say? Do you want one, or this is mine, or this is what I wish I had, or, you guys, let's have action. So,
I know, 'cause I didn't understand it. And I was like, maybe I'm not in the right place.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had, and it's funny that you had a moment like that, and I wonder how many people have moments like that where you're like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be.
I think after the second tour or third tour, so we get to the airport.
2008.
What?
2008, 7, 9.
I just like, it's like when you go through trauma, you just like going to wash it all away. It becomes like a blur with like me running through the sprinklers in my mom's house when I was a kid. It's all part of that.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I don't know how to describe it. It's all the work that I've done when I was a kid, doing mail outs. This is before the internet. You have to mail things out. You do your fanzines and stuff. Everything's by mail, by phone too, but everything's by mail. No computers or anything like that. And it's hard to imagine. Yes, there was a life before computers. And I think all my work has come to this. It's come to this point. And I'm like thinking, I don't want this. Oh shit.
It's a weird.
Yeah. But it's not like I wasn't having fun doing it. It just seemed like the direction that they wanted me to go was not the direction I thought I needed to go. And I did not have the balls big enough to make that statement and say, hey, this is not how I want to go. Because at the end game, I felt, and this is exactly what I felt, verbatim, I felt like a monkey in a cage being carried around to venue. I did not even see any of the cities at all. Everybody's, oh, you're so lucky to tour. You're a band. You got tour. You're playing big places. Thousands of people. And I'm like, I'm just this kind of thing from America, a puppet from America. Hey, everybody, come look at the puppet. Dance, googly-eyed, whatever, puppet. Do. Move on. Get in the car. Eat your food. Go to bed. Go take you to the next place. Reality check for everybody listening. Being a musician and touring and whatnot, it is that. It's a carnival. And unless you're controlling the cards, everybody that's telling you, oh yeah, look at me, this and that, it's not like that at all. Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's funny.
They keep you drugged up, drunk, and just perform, and you're their slave. And that's what it is.
Yeah, well, I did, I don't know if I did all of them, but I did several of the tours sober. But it's not like I didn't see... I mean, if you're not a drinker, you know how hard it is to stay in a club for 8 hours?
Without a doubt. And I think I probably would have ended differently if I chose to be sober the whole time, because that would have given me the reality of the whole thing from the get-go. I was kind of intoxicated, or kind of writing this kind of like, let's get high, or let's get drunk, or let's perform, let's hang out. I mean, everything's like a party. It's like this continuous party. And being on stage in front of whatever 1,000 people that we performed in front of in Germany at one of the festivals, you're getting a lot of this energy from people. And however which way you want to look at it, from a metaphysical point of view or whatever, it is a lot to take in. And I am not able to handle, I can't be the conductor of all that energy. And especially the energy that they're giving to me. I can't. It's starting to, I felt like the end of like Avengers. I started to dissipate, I'm not that strong. I am strong with my own things, and I can project.
You think you lost control of it because
I lost control.
It was your thing.
What?
It was your thing. It was your thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in your band trying to do as much as I can to do what you needed as the leader.
Right.
But it got out of it got out of your control.
It got out of my control. I think the car that we were riding was built for speed, and I was not.
Do you think you grew out of it?
I think in a way I have.
You think
yes.
If you were 20 and we would have been there, it would have been different?
Possibly. I don't want to go into that chapter. I don't.
Great. Let's not go.
No. It's okay. It's hurt.
No, I was going to go somewhere else.
No. I don't like the idea of regret, because I
don't regret it,
because in the
I wouldn't have seen it
in the multiverse, in the infinite universes. Excuse me. infinite universes, there's somewhere I am doing that and I'm down with that. But this life and here and now, I need to make a decision for me. And that wasn't it.
But do you know how many people say, I want to be in a band and I want to do this?
Oh, God.
But they don't get the opportunity to, like, you have a record deal, you're on the road, and to be able to sit and you're in the dressing room and there's 1,000 or people waiting for you to come out and you have an epiphany, right? How many people never get there?
Well, you need to be true to yourself and you need to listen to yourself. And I think the people that haven't got there are probably very drunk or very stoned. I remember drug dealers were coming in through the window and they were delivering cocaine to the headlining act. And I think that action was actually turning my head when the other bands that we were opening for were doing lines of cocaine off the banisters of the leading up to the stage. To me, it was kind of like, wow, this is kind of disrespectful because these people are expecting a performance and all they're going to get is some garage party. And that's not what it is, really. And I was falling into that as well.
Right.
So in addition to that, people that want to be a rock star or an actor or whatever, do you have something to say? Because that should be on the number one checklist. If you have something to say, if you can honestly say you have something to say without being a YouTuber, hey guys, welcome to my channel. We're going to talk about blah, 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 blah for 10 minutes. And so you go, okay, click subscribe. It's like, what are you trying to say?
Sometimes you don't know that though, do you?
What?
Sometimes you don't know that.
You don't, because that's youth. You don't really know.
Because there's a time in my life where I realized that people were listening. And then I was like, oh shit. And then the pressure of that makes you think, fuck, do I have something to say? Do I have something to say?
That's an existential moment that you were having. And basically, who am I? Do I have something to say? Where am I at? And I think that's kind of what instigated my whole thing of like, stop this, stop it now. Better stop the train, get off.
But this is good.
Yeah. I keep getting those flashes of like that epiphany and getting so far. And I'm like, God, I spent so much money and I don't have a lot of money. I spend so much money because I'm trying to achieve the idea that people think that I'm this. And I fell into this whole gap. Like, where you live in Los Angeles? Well, I live actually in a shack, or basically is what it is. I don't live in a castle. I'm performing on these huge stages in Europe. This is kind of where it's directed towards, I guess, in the result of my decision. And people were perceiving me being somebody than who I was. I didn't have anything. I gave all my money to the music, everything. I gave everything that I could give to music, to somebody that I thought could put out the album. And what did they do? They turned around, released the album, didn't give me any money. I spent almost $15,000. That was all my savings, everything I had. And I had to get I had to go to, what is that? Anonymous. What was that? Anonymous for
12-step?
12-step. I had to go to 12-step.
Debtors Anonymous?
Yes.
Right.
I had to go to that.
Yes.
Because I could not cope. I couldn't cope anymore. I threw everything for a dream that I believed in, and it was crushed by one single person.
Right.
And
so now as we move forward, how do you control the car? Can you control the car? Because you have a new car. You got out of the car.
This is fantastic. I like this analogy. I really do.
Okay.
I really, really, really do, because I do think about this a little
bit. But it's nice that you can get out of the car, right? You can get out of the car anytime you want. Get out of the car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Get in another car.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in the new car.
Yeah. The parts are very important. The parts of the car are very important. I need to inspect each one physically and make sure it is polished and perfect and nice. Nothing left to the wayside. I need to put this thing together, the car, the story, this thing that I'm working on, and look at it with such a magnified eye of care and emotion, and then send it off and position it into place. Because the minute I don't analyze how these things put together, this car is put together, this story is put together, means I don't have control over it. And that was the problem before. I did not have any idea of how that car was put together. People were just coming left and right. Hey, slap this on, slap this on. Okay, go, 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 go.
Right.
Indy 500. And then I crashed.
But this was a great lesson.
It is a great lesson. That's something that a friend of mine just told me. If it took you $15,000 to learn that lesson, wasn't it worth it? And I'm like, actually, no. What are you talking about, girl? Yes, it was an end game. You have to be scarred. You have to be scarred enough to say, I'm not going to touch that stove anymore.
Right. Right. Because no one can tell you, hey, man, that's fire. You're not supposed to touch it. You're like, well, I don't know. This is the same person that told me about Santa Claus.
Yeah. That's just going through the experience and learning through,
which is fucking great.
Yeah. And, I don't know what the future holds. I don't really care because it's going to be what I give it. And if I'm making that car with the precision pieces and whatnot, then it should go fast. And if it doesn't, then it has my emotion in it, and that's good enough for me.
Right.
But a lot of fun times on tour, a lot of crazy things, people stabbing. Well, that wasn't fun when what's his face got stabbed, but
no, but not a lot of people got to do that.
Not a lot of people got to do that. Not a lot of people got to see another band. Oh God, that band. This band that we opened up for apparently broke into an Italian church and went to the bell tower thinking it was so great to ring the bell at dawn or whatever. There were two guys, went to the top, small Italian town, very Catholic. They rang the bell, and what do you think happened? The whole town came running.
Yeah, it's like it's like Frankenstein, the movie Frankenstein. Torches.
I think I've been to Italy quite a few times, but I've seen these old towns and whatnot. And I would think that back in the day, when you ring the bell in the middle of the night, that's not kind of a good thing.
Yeah, no.
It means maybe the volcano's going, somebody died, you got an attack from you got two drunk guys from Boston.
Yeah, right. We're probably Catholics also.
Oh, of course, because it was okay then, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I'm joking. But the funny thing about that whole story, and not really funny, but they broke into this church and they got charges brought, breaking and entering, lewd conduct, drinking in public. But the biggest thing that they had after this slew of different violations was desecration, because apparently they needed to go to the bathroom and they peed all over the church. No. So that was the end game for them.
Jeez.
Those are the days of my life. The singer of that band, which was, they were from Boston. They like to have fights after every show. And he came up to me drunk one time and he goes, "Why do you want to hang out with me?" And I'm like, I'm okay. I want to go to bed.
Right.
And I'm thinking, this is a different music scene than I thought it was going to be. When I thought of music, I thought of expression of emotions and things like that. I didn't sign up for stabbing people. I didn't sign up for putting our hotel furniture on the top of the roof because it was a cool thing to do. I didn't sign up for breaking into Italian churches and ringing the bell. I didn't sign up for any of that, or doing lines of coke and stuff. I signed up for expressing myself.
Art.
Yes.
Right.
And apparently what I want and what the record company wants is totally two different things. Because touring with a band that has regalia that looks like something reminiscent of German World War II people doesn't fly with me.
Yeah, that was an uncomfortable situation. And let's drive down a different road. Because there's some of that I don't even want to remember.
I don't want to remember that either.
So, but we did get to meet people that we would have never met. We got to see countries, and we got to understand cultures, some of them for better, some of them for worse or whatever. And, we went all these different places, and it may have been a flash, and we may have been stuck in our monkey cage. But, we ate pizza in Italy. We walked on the cobblestone roads of Prague. Those people told us things.
Yeah.
They told us their stories. and we weren't tourists. We were, we got to see things that are part of our story now, and the stories that we're telling.
Without a doubt, I don't regret anything. I don't regret any time. I tell you one thing. My favorite time there, well, a lot of them were, was a morning in it wasn't Amsterdam. It was in the Netherlands. I woke up in the morning and it was 5 a.m. Everybody was asleep from drinking. And I walked the streets, and that was my realization of the now moment. I had the now moment there. And I realized this is beautiful. And I realized because I'm away from everybody and I'm walking the street alone and I'm having coffee with the locals, and it felt right. It felt so right. And the warm smile I got from the waitress, I remember that. And it's so crazy, all of my travels and things, and blood and guts and octopuses and stuff like that. That's the part that I remember the most. It's the silence.
That's funny because when we were in Berlin, I left after sound check. I didn't say goodbye to anyone. I didn't say, I found out what time I needed to be back, and I left. And I walked around the town, and there was a festival outside, like a music festival. And there was people with dreadlocks and they were German hippies or whatever. And the sun was out, and I was alone. And it was amazing. It was really, so it was, how important is it to spend time alone?
Incredible. I think that's what saved me. Because we need time to ourselves to reflect on what we've done and what we're doing. If you're constantly around people all the time, how can you reflect? You can't. You need a purging. That's what dreams are for. You're purging stuff. You need time to reflect. You need time to get your thoughts together. And I think that might have been when I had that epiphany of this is what I don't want,
You are lucky to be able to say, I want this, to get it, and say, oh, okay, that's not really what I wanted. I'm going to move on.
Thank you very much. Can I return this? You do take returns, don't you? Yeah. I've made a lot of mistakes. I missed a lot of opportunities. The whole idea of being in music and whatnot could have been a lot bigger. And I think that the times that I've lost those opportunities has given me the gasoline to continue on. I met with a producer that I won't mention when I was a kid, and they said they were going to make me a star and this and that. I went to Marina Del Rey. The meeting was all arranged and everything like that. I dropped the ball. And then I got a phone call. You'll never work in this town again. I got one of those phone calls. I got one of those phone calls. You'll never, ever, as long as I live. So I thought, no. I am going to work in this town, and I am going to be a musician. So I fought that, and I did it. And then I realized, I don't want it.
Once you got it.
Well, my perception of music and its expression is a warped viewpoint, because I was thinking something more of an old country band that would go off to bars and perform and they'd sing their heart out, Patsy Cline. I'm thinking people that just really, Billie Holiday, they're just kind of giving their all. And yeah, they've gone through their bad stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of bad things going on and stuff, but it's these are artists, people that can sing, Johnny Cash. I'm thinking of that. And then I'm like, oh, it's me and I'm my band, and we're playing a puppet show, and I'm a puppet. And how much is that worth? I mean, we're not talking Janis Joplin or even anything of that sort, Jimi Hendrix. We're talking oh God, it's a puppet show.
When do you know when your project is done?
The one I'm working on, or just in general?
Well, either one.
Projects are never done.
Right.
Projects are never, ever done. I think there's a famous story of Picasso who walked into a gallery and he started working on his painting again and apparently started pissing off people around. This is what I've heard. And as funny as that sounds, I get it, because Picasso is probably going, this needs another line on there. and to have the guy actually work on a painting that's for sale for somebody else, and he's going in there and he's working on it. So Pretty crazy. My work is never done. Absolutely not. And the reason I took so long to write the chapter is because I worked on this one chapter for 7 years. It just sat in the back of my head. And you know what? I was pussyfooting around. I didn't think anybody wanted to hear it. And I told myself for 7 years, for one chapter, 1,500 words, this is my new job. This is my new life. This is my new career. And I can't even put 1,500 words out because I'm so afraid people are going to hate it. It's like, take a step back, dude. You know, remember who you are and what you're able to do. And 7 years later, I'm doing it. And now I have a full book. It's called The Adventures of Mike Wright and the Lost Ones. And there's a YouTube channel of all the little stories I've been creating for that. And
what's the channel?
It's called The Adventures of Mike Wright and the Lost Ones.
That is, so if you, is all one word or
it's all separate words, but that's the whole name of the channel.
Tell me again. It's on YouTube.
On YouTube, The Adventures of Mike Wright and the Lost Ones.
And what are we going to find there?
You're going to find, it's more kind of anime, graphic novel looking imagery.
So I've seen some of it, and there's a voiceover.
There's a voiceover, yeah. So a lot of what I do in expressing my story or projecting my story is having moving visuals with some storytelling going on. So I'll hire actors. I've hired this recent woman is an actress from England who read a 10-minute audiobook of my chapter that's actually coming out on Easter Sunday, April 21st.
That's when it'll be on YouTube?
Yes.
The full thing?
No, it'll be the first chapter. It's the prologue.
How long?
It'll be roughly 11 minutes.
So you're going to release it as an 11-minute piece?
Yes, it'll be a full 11-minute piece. It's a reading, and it's actually the prologue for the entire book. The book will not be released as audio as of yet. I am just doing this as a statement to myself to say, I'm putting it out there and I'm going to do it. And
Good.
I've had it edited by a friend of mine. He's a valedictorian English professor. And I'm all, please read this. Validate me. And he goes, you're validated. Congratulations. Go for it, dude. And I'm like, cool. So I am here and I'm standing on my 2 front feet as opposed to my back. And I'm ready to fly. So you'll find some segments, synopsis of storylines and whatnot all throughout that YouTube channel. So
there's stuff already up.
Oh yeah. There's like about, I think 12 videos as well.
And the big release you said is Easter
Sunday. And I say that because
2019,
yes.
Right.
I say Easter because it's Resurrection Day and that's kind of involving what the story is. You'll see.
And this is the story that we talked about.
Yeah.
Your story. This is your resurrection as an artist.
This is my resurrection as an artist. Yeah.
Right.
And it's funny you said that because the thing that's being resurrected isn't very nice, but maybe that's who I really am. Maybe I'm mean. But I listened to it last night. I just got the final reading from this actress in England, and I was very impressed. I wanted an American actress to read it. I could not find one American actress that could do a reading that was so intense. And I don't know why that is. It's because I am an actress. Can I do your reading? And I'm like, no, you cannot do my reading. I'm kind of insecure about my story as it is. I don't need somebody to go flat up. So the difference between acting and movie stars is completely different than performance of this beautiful Shakespearean woman. Shakespearean woman. Is that a word? I don't know. 10-minute performance. Really enjoy it. It will be released on Sunday, April 21st. And it's the beginning of my new mythology called The Adventures of Mike Wright and the Lost Ones.
Good. Any chance I can play a minute or two of it at the end of this?
Without a doubt. And
awesome.
There's some wonderful monologues in there that I'd like to pick and choose and play them for you.
Great. I'm going to tag that on the end here. Thank you so much for coming and talking to me and being so open. And thank you for the time that the decades that I've known you and allowing us to share that with the people because it's a very public world.
It is a very public world, publicly speaking. Yes, totally. It's been a wonderful, fantastic adventure we've had in the past. And I think the bottom line is to use those experiences to the future. And that's what I'm doing.
Absolutely. Here we go. Stick around. We got a little bit of the story. And thank you so much for listening.
Upon her deathbed, she swore her revenge. Revenge on all the lost ones. Revenge on this child. Tonight, she'd had both. She stood back from the table, eyeing the last of the golden images rising above her like tiny fireflies and vanishing. She lowered her head and filled her lungs with the sweet stench of death. It's done. She breathed in glory. The woman kneeled to the floor, below the desk, focusing on the mound of ash. She then raised her head to the silvery full moon as it peered through the ruined ceiling. My dark lord, accept these ashes so that they might feed a new heart, a pure heart which will now beat forward. Accept this sacrifice as it represents a symbol of your new world, one without impurities. She glared across the classroom over every broken desk and every mound of brown ash. These are the last cancers of time, the last slaughter. May this noble act remind future generations that we will not tolerate imperfections. She paused, focusing back on the heap of smoky dust ahead of her. The boy's ashes. This isn't revenge, my dear boy. It is a triumph. Payment by virtue of death isn't murder when it's defined as the compensation for wrongdoing. Being born a lost one is reason enough to be renounced. However, know that your demise will be chronicled as a punishment for the crimes of your father. And you, being the crude fruit of his vine, will indeed be the fruit I now devour.